Hello. Pull. Oh. Ooh. Yeah.
We are the group 2 and we are assigned to tackle about the self from the perspective of anthropology. What does it mean to be human? How do our culture, environment, and history shape our identity and sense of self? Anthropology is the study of human, seeks to answer these profound questions. So today we will explain the concept of the self from the perspective of anthropology, focusing on two key ideas: Triandi's self in different cultural contexts and Salazar Filipino self embedded in culture. So, what connects the ancient pyramids of Egypt, the tradition of indigenous tribes and languages we speak today? The answer lies in anthropology, the study of humanity in all its diversity. So, what is anthropology? Anthropology is the scientific study of humans, their behaviors, societies, and biological evolution, both past and present. Its goals are simple yet profound, is to understand the diversity of human life, trace our history, and explore what makes us human. So again, the main goal of anthropology is to understand human diversity, study adaptation and evolution, and last is to bridge past and present. So we have 4 branches of anthropology: cultural anthropology, physical or biological anthropology, archaeology, and last is linguistic anthropology. So what is cultural anthropology? Cultural anthropology studies humans, cultures, beliefs, and traditions. Anthropology immerses themselves in communities, observing and participating to understand their way of life. Next is physical anthropology. Physical anthropology focuses on human, biological evolution, and physical adaptations. It includes areas like paleoanthropology, which studies fossils, and forensic anthropology, which helps solve crimes. Linguistic anthropology. Linguistic anthropology examines how humans use language to communicate and how it shapes our worldviews. This branch explores everything from endangered languages to how the dialect evolves over time. Archaeology. Archaeology investigates human history through material remains, from prehistoric cave painting to sunken ships. This branch uncovers stories of our past. So, in conclusion, anthropology isn't just about the past, it's about using our understanding to shape a better future. Whether studying fossils, decoding languages, or connecting with diverse cultures. So, anthropology brings us closer to answering humanity's biggest question.
Importance of anthropology. Why is anthropology important in understanding humans? Importance of anthropology. Anthropology is essential in understanding humans because it provides a holistic perspective on the human experience, exploring how culture, biology, history, and environment shaped societies and individuals. By studying human diversity across time and space, anthropology helps us uncover the shared traits and unique differences among cultures, fostering patterns of behavior, values, and systems of belief that define humans' life. Through this comprehensive lens, anthropology helps us understand not only who we are but also why we act and think the way we do. Real-world applications of anthropology. Anthropology has numerous real-world applications in addressing complex societal challenges. In the context of globalizations, it helps us understand cultural interactions and adaptations, facilitating smoother communication and collaboration across diverse populations. For instance, businesses rely on anthropological insights to navigate cultural differences in international markets. Similarly, applied anthropology plays a vital role in solving societal problems such as public health crisis, poverty, and social inequality by studying the culture context of communities and tailoring interventions accordingly. Additionally, anthropology informs policies on migration, human rights, and environmental sustainability by providing a deeper understanding of human behaviors and needs, from addressing urbanization issues to preserving indigenous cultures. Anthropology's relevance extends to virtually every aspect of modern life, making it a crucial tool for fostering a more inclusive and sustainable world.
I will talk about the personhood. Personhood is socially imputed. Anthropologists often understand the term of self to after subjective and experiential sense that one is or has a locus awareness, a private consciousness. I have the example of cultural differences in the concept of self. Cultural differences are where the aspect and culture don't agree or match with each other. For example, the food of one country can be either very similar in some parts or very different. Culture influences. It depends in what or where environment are you. Also influences perceived hardship and how you feel about relying in other. Cultural differences refers to the values and behavior that exist between individuals that different cultural background.
Self and differing cultural contexts from anthropologist scientists. So, according to Harry C. Trandus, self and different cultural contexts refers to the idea that how individuals perceive and understand their own identity or self varies significantly depending on the cultural environment they are embedded in. So, first, let's start collectivist or the collectivism. These are closely linked individuals who view themselves primarily as a part of a whole, be it a family, a network of co-workers, a tribe, or a nation. Such people are mainly motivated by the norms and duties imposed by the collective entity. And while individualist or individualism trying this emphasize that individualism is characterized by a focus on a personal goals, independence, and self-reliance. In individualistic uh, cultures, people tend to prioritize their own needs and desires over those of the group. They value personal autonomy, freedom of choice, and self-expression. One of these examples in individualism is rise of entrepreneurship. In recent years, the, there has been growing trend of Filipinos starting their own business and pursuing entrepreneurial ventures. This reflects individualistic drives for a person success, financial independence, and self-reliance. The rise of the online business and gig economy further exemplifies this trend. And while the example of collectivism, this is the bayanihan during calamities. When natural disasters like typhoons or earthquakes strike, Filipinos often come together in the spirit of bayanihan to help those affected. And this involved the community membership helping each other to rebuild homes, provide food and supplies, and other offer like I mean and offer like emotional support And this strong sense of community mutual aid reflects the collectivism values. For example, after the Typhoon Yolanda in 2013, there was a massive outpouring of support from the local communities and international organizations, showing the collective effort to help those in need. Impact of this cultural dimension on self, which is collectivism and individualism profoundly shape the self-concept and collectivism cultures. The self is interdependent, defined by the relationships of group membership, prioritizing their social harmony, modesty, and deriving self-esteem from contributing to the group. Conversely, in the individualistic cultures, the self-independent, defined by the personal attributes and achievements valuing personal autonomy, self-expression, and deriving self-esteem from individual accomplishments. This difference influenced emotional expression, with collectivist culture often favoring restraints and indirect communication, while while individualistic cultures encourage open and direct expression. Essentially, collectivism emphasizes we and interconnectedness, and while individualism emphasizes I and personal distinctiveness, impacting how individuals perceive themselves, their their relationships, and their place into society.
Hello everyone, my name is Ruben Perillo. Now, I will discuss about self-perspective anthropology or pansariling pananaw in Tagalog. So first of all, what is the self-perspective in anthropology? So it refers to the idea that person's sense of the self is not a fixed entity but is largely shaped by the culture and social interaction. Meaning, how one perceives themselves is heavily influenced by the values, norms, and the expectation of the community they live in. Essentially, the self is a social construct that varies across different cultures. In other terms, self-perspective is how you view yourself, including your thoughts, feelings, and place in the world. Is unique understand of who you are based on your experience and beliefs. Now, we talk about the philosophers. According to Salazar, self-perspective is deeply intertwined with his advocacy for indigenization in the Philippines. He believes that understanding the Filipino self requires a deep engagement with the Filipino culture, language, and history. This perspective is reflected in his work on Filipinohia, a work field of study that focuses on the Filipino identity, culture, and history. Now, let's go to his theory, which is the pansariling pananaw or self-perspective. This is the method of studying Philippine history from the distinctly Filipino viewpoint, emphasizing an internal understanding of the culture and experience of Filipino, rather than relying on the perspective of colonial powers. Essentially, it calls for analyzing history from us for us to build a more authentic national narrative. So, what is the purpose of his theory? Okay, here's the some key point. Epic perspective. It promotes an epic approach, meaning it focuses on understanding a culture from within using the language, concept that are meaningful to the people being studied. Talastasang bayan. A crucial concept, pantayong pananaw, is the talastasang bayan, national discourse, which refers to the shared understanding of history and identity that is constructed through a collective Filipino perspective. Critique of colonial historiography. Salazar argues that traditional Philippine history is often blazed towards the perspective of colonizers, neglecting the agency and experience of Filipino. Importance of language. Using the Filipino language as the primary lens for analyzing history is seen as vital for constructing a truly pantayong perspective.
Filipino self-embedded in culture refers to the concept that a Filipino individual's identity is deeply intertwined with the values and practices of Filipino cultures, with a strong emphasis on social harmony, prioritizing the needs of community over individual interests. How Filipino culture shapes self-identity. A person who grows up in a religious household may identify strongly with their religion and its values. Pagmamano. It is performed by bowing to an elder and pressing one's forehead on the elder's hand. Another example, bayanihan, one of communal unity, helping others without expecting rewards to achieve a certain goal. Another example, festival, a celebration or gathering of people that can be religious, national, or cultural.
Anthropology's contribution to culture and communication. Anthropology helps us understand how culture develop and how language, symbols, and ritual express beliefs and values. It also shows how these practice shape communication and interaction across communities. How anthropology aids in understand cultural difference. Anthropologists use a range of methods to study human behavior and culture, including participant observation, ethnography, surveys, and interviews. Anthropologists use tools like participant observation, ethnography, surveys, and interviews to study cultures. These methods help them learn how people live, communicate, and adapt in different societies. These methods allow them to gain a deep understanding of how people live their lives, their beliefs, values, and tradition, and how they shape their behavior and interaction with others. These methods give anthropologists a deeper understanding of people's lives, beliefs, values, and tradition, and how these shape behavior and interaction. Next, its role in improving intercultural communication. Intercultural communication is crucial in today's globalization world where people from different cultural backgrounds come together to work, learn, and socialize. Intercultural communication is important in our globalized world where people from different cultures come together for work, school, or socializing. It helps us understanding each other and build stronger communication. The ability to effectively communicate and collaborate across culture is essential to building relationship, understanding diverse perspectives, and achieve common goals. Being able to communicate across cultures is essential for building relationships, understanding different perspectives, and achieving common goals.
Challenges in understanding the self across cultures. When studying the self across cultures, significant challenge arise due to our diverse ways different cultures conceptualize identity, leading to potential conflicts when comparing or interpreting self-perceptions, highlighting the crucial need to respect cultural differences to avoid misinterpretation and promote understanding. Common issues or conflicts when studying self-identity in a cross-cultural context. Cultures with strong individualistic values may prioritize personal achievements and self-expression, contrasting with collectivist cultures when group harmony and belonging are paramount, causing potential misunderstandings when interpreting self-worth based on different cultural lenses. Importance of respecting cultural differences. Social hierarchy and static different cultures have varying levels like social hierarchy, impacting individuals perceive their own static and importance placed on social roles, misinterpretations when interacting with people from different social positions.
In conclusion, the concept of the self from an anthropological perspective is complex and shaped by cultural, social, and historical contexts, which vary significantly across societies. Anthropological as a discipline employs various branches and methods to explore this concept, particularly through cultural anthropology, social anthropology, and psychological anthropology. These branches use both qualitative and quantitative methods, such as ethnography, participant observation, interviews, and cross cultural comparisons, to understand how individuals and groups construct their identities within their cultural settings. The self is seen as both a social construct and an individual experience, and these methods help uncover how deeply it is embedded in societal norms, rituals, and daily practices. This story of the self, for example, focuses on how cultural context, individualistic versus collectivistic, shape the construction of identity. In individualistic cultures, the self is often defined in terms of independence and personal achievement, while in collectivistic societies, the self is viewed as independent, shaped by social rules, obligations, and community relationships. This comparative approach provides a nuanced understanding of the self as a culturally relative concept. Salazar's exploration of the Filipino self further emphasizes how identity is inextricably linked to cultural values, family, and community. In Filipino culture, the self is not viewed as a solitary entity but as part of a collective whole, where personal identity is continuously shaped by social connections and communal responsibilities. Through these perspectives, anthropology highlights that the self is not universal but culturally specific, and its formation and expression are shaped by the broader cultural, social, and historical forces that surround individuals.